helpful.
Okay. Hi, Annie. Welcome. Hi. Just for the recording, I am Ellen Teeter, the Executive Director of FSOMA, and we have Stuart Chapt, President, and David Bibby, Legislative Chair, and we've got a lot of things to go over. So I'll let them take off. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. It's great to be here. This is our second town hall, actually, this year that we want to bring you the latest and newest things that are affecting our profession. There's a lot going on right now with the profession of acupuncture that affects every single one of us, and so I do encourage you to generate questions. They'll go into the chat. If you have any kind of concerns or you have understanding of anything that's presented, we will definitely, if we have to, we'll definitely get back to you as well. But thank you for attending. It means a lot. It means that you're engaged, even if you're watching this on a recording, and we're very proud to support you and our profession. The town hall tonight is going to be relatively informal but structured. Please, if you're there, leave your mic muted. It will be muted until the end of the discussion, and then we'll be happy to answer any questions that you have at that point. We won't be discussing any kind of pricing or fees tonight. That is verboten. We will just be giving you the news update of everything that's going on. If you have a question, like I said, please wait until the end or place it in the chat, and I'll be happy to bring that up at the end as well. Only one person will speak at a time, so please be courteous to everyone else that's on the meeting tonight. So without further ado, to get us going, I'm going to turn it over to David Bibby, and he's going to give us an update on Chapter 457. We got a lot of items to discuss tonight, and we might as well get going as quick as possible. David?
Thank you, Stuart. I'm going to use a screen share this evening and take you through a presentation with some slides to talk about the legislative update. So let me just jump to that. And I just want to verify that you can see my screen and you can see FSOMA Town Hall meeting.
Yes.
Okay, great. The agenda for this evening, we're going to talk about updates to Chapter 457 that were proposed with a legislative bill in the past year. We're also going to discuss a little bit of updating you on the FSOMA PAC for political fundraising and with our goals. We have some new information about fingerprint and background screening processes that are required starting July 1st. This applies to all healthcare professions and now affects acupuncturists. There's been some discussion as well about changes in 2024 for establishment licenses for massage establishment offices. And we just want to bring you up to speed on a change that was made with the definition for designated designated establishment manager. FSOMA, of course, is always supportive of the membership, but we're also encouraging more members from the profession to join and participate in committees as a volunteer. I also want to remind everybody that the annual conference registration is open for August 8th through 10th in Fort Lauderdale. Stuart's probably going to provide us some details about the ASA has approved a dry needling CEU certificate program. And lastly, an update for members regarding our new FSOMA website. And Ellen might provide us some details about creating a login to create a new username and password and some details for that. So let me get started with the legislative update for 2025. And what I wanted to discuss first is there's been a lot of work done and there's been a lot of communication between the legislature, individual legislators, and the membership about this proposed language to update the Practice Act. But nothing was achieved in 2025 with an update to the statute. But it's not all bad news because a lot of positive things did happen. And the positives that I want to report are first, FSOMA was able to introduce a bill both in the Florida House and in the Florida Senate, meaning we had sponsors for our bills. They were drafted and presented to the Florida legislature, And the greatest momentum and movement we had was on the House side with House Bill 803, sponsored by Jose Alvarez. Representative Alvarez is from the Kissimmee area, and he was, he worked as hard as anybody can as a junior legislator to get the acupuncturist bill through 3 committees in the House and then fully adopted on the House floor with a nearly unanimous vote. It was, very well received, very well understood. There is more work to be done, though, on the Senate side. And the reason we didn't have a committee hearing, there were a couple of headwinds. One is we still needed to work on some comfort language for other healthcare stakeholders that were looking at our bill. That took a little bit of time. And lastly, there was just a shortened legislative session because the governor held, early discussions for storm relief, and then they were bogged down with issues related to the budget. So there wasn't really a full 60-day cycle for us to work through both the House and the Senate, even though this was designed to be a concurrent bill. The Senate was waiting for the House version to finish, and we just ran out of time. So, everybody's expecting to see the bill again in the fall, and we'll get started on education and introduction of that, over the summer. What I wanted to share with you real quick was, some of the updates that were proposed and why are we doing this? I think, we had several questions from people, what's being done. And the first thing we wanted to do was update the use of the word Oriental in the Practice Act is going to be deleted and replaced with the word Eastern. So we have a new definition for Eastern medicine that includes assessment, health history, physical examination, and we also, for the first time, have acupoint injection included as an authorized aspect of scope of practice. So with greater authority around injection therapy, it's going to help us with other parts of the Practice Act that I'll show you in a second. Updating the prescriptive rights was an important feature to support use of acupuncture injection therapy here in Florida. And so we updated that to include additional language for prescriptive rights to say recommendation, ordering, and administration of herbs, homeopathics, and other nutritional supplements in sterile form. And for the purposes of this section, this would include herbs, vitamins, minerals, lipids, sugars, carbs, and amino acids. There are other things that fall under injection therapy under the national standard, and we'll continue to work on updating our statute to reflect those things going forward. Here we also included for the first time a definition for the practice of acupuncture. Historically, we only had a definition for acupuncture and Oriental medicine, but without having a clear definition for what is the practice of acupuncture, it's awful hard to defend a scope of practice that's not defined. And so it's time that we have this definition in Chapter 457, and basically mirrors the definition for acupuncture, but we wanted to include providing services that apply TCM medical concepts, anatomy and physiology, modern Eastern medical techniques. It also goes on to include an exercise of prescriptive rights as provided in Section 9 that I just showed you. Okay, and this goes on to include to identify and evaluate and manage abnormal conditions. And this evaluate and manage information is very important for those of our colleagues that, submit insurance claims. Certainly we want to get paid on procedures with CPT procedure codes, but by not having evaluation and management clearly available within the scope of practice, too often that E&M code is being denied. And so this language is designed to support that and to change insurance practices when it relates to E&M reimbursement for acupuncturists. I'm sorry, number 4, that is very sensitive, is that we did also include a definition for direct supervision. And this means that immediate on-site supervision of other Florida licensees where the acupuncturist individually or collectively assumes responsibility. And this direct supervision option and definition, again, expands our authority to include supervision for non-acupuncture services or non-acupuncturists. Let's say another licensed provider who's providing manual therapy, massage therapy, or something like this that falls under a billable service in your office that you're now able to supervise. And traditionally, acupuncturists, as you know, if you're billing insurance, are only able to bill, for hands-on care, attended care in the office. But with a direct supervision option here, you can extend your options for treatment services in the office to include extenders and include that in your billing of services. So what's the road forward look like? In 2025, the Florida Medical Association, the osteopathic, family medicine, chiropractic professions all supported the proposed updates for the Acupuncture Practice Act. It took us a little while to get there. We had to work back and forth quite a bit with some, if not all of those people, but in the end, they all waved in support of the final version of House Bill 803 that passed in the House. So currently, the Florida acupuncture profession faces no industry objections for updating 457. And this means that in 2026, FSOMA is going to work to expand support within the Florida Senate and petition those committee chairs to hear our bill. And now that we have agreement on the language, other professions waving in support, we expect that this is going to provide us a tailwind going into the next session where we can be, adopted in the House and certainly heard and adopted in the Senate. How can you help? We've got lots of input, and I can't tell you how grateful I am for everybody that the membership that jumps in with both feet. They want to help when we get into these situations where we need to educate legislators. And, last year, I just need to remind everybody, 2025, we had a historical success in gaining legislative support to pass House Bill 803. The groundwork for achieving that success was done really last summer when about 50 acupuncturists made personal visits to their legislators in their local district offices, and hundreds more sent emails asking for support on the acupuncture bill. We planned for success and we were rewarded for that. But it's time for us to repeat that effort. We need to visit, educate, and financially support legislators who are, key legislators that want to help acupuncturists. So here, I want to remind everybody, every acupuncture member who visited a Florida legislature brought with them a campaign support check that was provided by the FSOMA Connected PAC, our political action committee. Okay, members and others who contribute to the PAC, these folks ensure that FSOMA has the money needed to support key legislators that are interested in supporting Florida acupuncturists and your patients. This is necessary and an important part of creating visibility for the profession and elevating the interests and concerns for acupuncturists. All of these things go together: fundraising, educating, communicating, campaign support, visiting, emailing. We need all of this as a robust legislative effort. And so, last part of how to help. Again, FSOMA will be emailing the membership, emailing you in July to provide more details about how to meet with your local legislators. And that email campaign will actually probably start here in June. But over the summer months, when the session ends, and I know the legislative session was extended for budget reasons, but eventually these legislators are going to come home to their local district offices, and this is our opportunity to get out and visit them in person. But first, we need to replenish the FSOMA PAC. It requires consistent contribution for money. A little bit from everybody goes a long way. Okay, and so funds that are available to provide legislative campaign support for legislators, it comes from the connected FSOMA PAC. All right, and the FSOMA summer fundraising goal for the profession is $50,000. We have a strong and robust and committed membership. And like I said, a little bit from everybody goes a long way. And so anything that you can do to contribute is welcome, and it's going to be a big help. And so making a monthly contribution that fits your budget is what's needed. June, July, August, and September. These are our vital fundraising months ahead. Okay, the legislative session for 2026 starts early. We're going to have legislators back in Tallahassee in the fall. So it's important that people are acting now Start with that June contribution, make it a monthly contribution that you can afford to give again in July, August, and September. Here, we have a PDF of the presentation that you're being provided. And so we're going to have that, available and emailed out for the membership. But you can use this live link to click or scan the QR code that's on your screen. It's going to take you to the Political Action Committee donation page. And it's, just a couple of key clicks where you just plug in what you want to do. And, it's taken care of automatically through that application. I want to switch topics. I hope that was a helpful update on where we were with 2025 and legislative, what types of things are we trying to improve with the statute, and where we are and what the plan is going forward. The next bit of news that we want to share with you is that there is a new license application and renewal process that's effective July 1st. And this is going to affect first-time applicants for acupuncture, as well as the rest of us that are renewing your licenses next February. And so if you're applying for an initial licensure, you have to complete a background screening process as part of the application process. And so you'll have to follow through with the same instructions I'm going to provide for people renewing their license, but this is going to be done not after your license, but as before and part of your licensing application. I made a note here down at the bottom, something called FYI. This acupuncture originating agency identifier is an ORI identification number. This is the number that's unique to the acupuncture profession. And when you're doing your registration for background screening, it's going to ask at some point, what is the reporting agency? Who are we sending the fingerprints and the fingerprint findings to? And it's done using this code. It's ORI code. And it's right here on the screen, EDOH4500Z. And so if you're looking for the ORI code, you'll be asked for it. This is the one for the acupuncture profession. So if you're renewing your license, there's a couple things to be prepared to complete the screening requirements ahead of your next renewal date. Okay, the renewal period begins 90 to 120 days before your license expires. And so you want to start thinking about license expiration is at the end of February. How do I back up 90 to 120 days? When do I need to start this process? All right. And if you want some more information about that, you're going to visit the floridahealthsource.gov website, select Florida boards, click on the tab for acupuncture boards for more details about the renewal process, but I will share with you some details now. If you're renewing your license, all screened professions are required to retain or renew their fingerprints every 5 years. And you may do so, the price is $43.25. The window for retaining your fingerprints after the 75-day period the window to retain your fingerprints opens 75 days prior to the expiration date and closes 15 days prior to the expiration date. So there's a 5-year lifetime on your fingerprint and background screening. And so you're responsible for sort of keeping that active, and you have the option for renewing it every 5 years going forward. And if you do that, you can do it at the renewal price of $43.25. So says the Department of Health now. Okay, this is designed to provide everybody with a full 60 days to complete the renewal process. If you don't retain your fingerprints, you're required to complete a new screening, and the department will not extend your retention window. And so I think there's a lot of examples of people who might be dual licensed, who have already done a fingerprint and background screening for another profession. Maybe you're in nursing, maybe you're at LMT and you've already had to provide this requirement. So you have an active fingerprint and background check available with the Department of Health on their site. And so rather than letting those fingerprints expire, you have the option for renewing them. Okay, again, renewing your license to comply with the background screening and fingerprint requirement for healthcare providers, you have to register what they call the CHAI system to schedule a fingerprinting appointment, okay, with an approved live scan provider. So anybody that's gone through fingerprinting and background check already, this is a familiar process. But first, you're going to register with the CHAI. Then you're going to schedule a fingerprinting appointment with live scan and have the fingerprints and photos submitted electronically to the Department of Florida Law Enforcement. Okay, relatively straightforward process. Okay, here the FDLE then will conduct a level 2 background check and send the results to ACA clearinghouse. That's what we were referring to before. I'm sorry, CHAI. I think this is the ACA clearinghouse, the Healthcare Administration clearinghouse. This is the central portal where they store all of the fingerprint data, the digital images for photographs, and the level 2 background screening data. Okay, and this is where the department, the Board of Acupuncture, will review that information as part of your license renewal from the clearinghouse portal. Okay, so you're not going to submit that directly to the Board of Acupuncture. It's going to be sitting in the Agency for Healthcare Administration clearinghouse portal, because it's first you're going to do live scan. That's reported to the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. Law enforcement does the background check. They forward it to the clearinghouse. And here's just a reminder that ORI number for you, EDOH 4500Z. You're going to be asked for this throughout, that digital process when you create your application and maybe submit it to the portal. So this is coming. It's going to be required for everybody to do, licensed acupuncturists to do for their next eligibility for renewing your license. And I'd suggest that it says, the window starts 90 to 120 days, before license renewal. So work backwards. That's somewhere between October, November, December. If you go too early, sometimes the department won't accept the results. It has to be within that acceptable time frame for renewal of your license. Okay, the cost for new screening is almost double the retention cost that's set by live scan. Okay, so you can manage this requirement by registering, I told you before, with the CHAI. And after your account is created, you'll be able to view the date of your most recent screening and check renewal availability to learn if the window of opportunity is open for you to retain your fingerprints. This is how you keep from paying, $90 to retain your fingerprints. You can do that for half the price if you don't let them expire and lapse. But you have to be logged on to the CHI portal, create an account so that they can send you updates and notices when needed. Okay. Next thing I wanted to talk about, new subject, is we had an urgent email that went out from the State Association this week about massage establishment licenses and acupuncturists. And first thing I want to say is this is an important issue, but it's an issue that only affects a small number of acupuncture offices. This is not a widespread issue that it's affecting everybody. But for people who it does affect, it can be, a real challenge to have to deal with the Department of Health. And so the group of acupuncturists that this affects is those acupuncturists who have a licensed massage therapist, either as a staff member, a contractor, or a renter in their office. And that LMT provides massage services for clients that are not patients of the acupuncturist. In other words, this is not a staff person that is only working as an extender to provide massage services for your patients. Okay, this applies to licensed massage therapists that are working in your office that see their own clients. They may see yours, but they have their own book, they have their own schedule, they have their own records for non-acupuncture patients. In that instance, the office requires a massage establishment license. That's part of their business licenses. They have something from the county that's like a business license or a tax receipt, but in addition to that, they need a massage establishment license to have these LMTs working in their office on non-patient people, working on their own patients. Okay, and part of the application process requires naming a designated establishment manager, a DEM. That's part of this massage establishment license process. And what's happened is prior to 2023, the designated establishment manager for a massage establishment was required to be a licensed massage therapist. Okay, prior to 23, that person had to be an LMT. In 2024, the definition for designated establishment manager was expanded to include acupuncturists. It also includes medical doctors, osteopaths, and chiropractors, but it was expanded to include acupuncturists, meaning now an acupuncturist is eligible to serve as the designated establishment manager under their own massage establishment license if they want to. And what it does is it gives you greater control over your massage establishment license, because if it's, if you have an LMT serving in that role and that person, leaves your office, then it may compromise, your massage establishment license would be terminated because you don't have a designated massage manager, and it would prohibit you from continuing to offer massage services in your office. So it can be a little bit of a wrinkle there. But by expanding the definition to include acupuncturists, it gives us as practitioners and owners of our own businesses more control, administrative control over the licenses in our office. Okay, has nothing to do with us performing massage services. This is all about a regulation requirement by the Department of Health that if you have a massage therapist working in your office that's seeing patients that are their own patients, not your patients, but their own patients, is that you have to have a massage establishment license. Okay, so instances where initial application or renewals of a massage establishment license were denied for some reason, if the Department of Health denied it because we didn't have an LMT in the office, and there was some misunderstanding about this new expanded definition for designated massage establishment manager, the department is working hard to correct those. So all of those cases are being reviewed and corrected as we speak. And what the association wanted to do was make sure that there was none of our membership or other licensed practitioners that were falling into this net where they're having trouble either with initial application or renewal of their massage establishment, because there was some misunderstanding about who can serve as the DEM, the designated establishment manager. So this is a problem that's working itself out relatively quickly, but we want to make sure that you have support from the association if you're having this kind of a problem. If there's any questions about that, you can email Ellen, or I've been taking some of those emails myself and hearing, various, stories from around the state about some of the challenges people have had with either applying for or renewing their license. But all of that is being worked on and hopefully will be corrected soon. I just want to remind everybody, okay, this issue affects a small number of offices. Who is not affected? Everybody else, okay? It only affects acupuncture offices that hire, contract, or rent to massage therapists. If you don't do that, if you've never done that and you never plan on doing that, then no changes apply to you or your office. Okay, I hope that's helpful. We didn't want to cause confusion on the issue. We just wanted to make sure that anybody who needed help got the help they needed. Stuart, I'm going to take a second and step back and ask if you can use the slides on membership and work through the rest of the agenda that you want. If you want more input or feedback from me, just let me know. And if you want, I'll advance the slides, to move the presentation along. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. FYI, I put the link to the fingerprinting place on the chat if anybody needs it.
Excellent.
I had just one comment, David, I had gone in personally and went into that CHAI system, the CHAI system. It actually gives you multiple approved providers for a whole range of costs to get that fingerprinting completed.
Oh, excellent. So live scan is one option, but you have others to choose from, right?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay.
Yeah, I think there were 4 or 5 just in my county alone. So
thank you, Stuart.
Thank you for that. Membership. It's always been on my agenda coming into the presidency. That one thing that I hold very dear is there's power in numbers. And we definitely have so much going on in association. We are probably in my opinion, the premier state association in the country. and a lot of people look at us. I would really focus on how can we increase our membership? How can we get our numbers up? Because the more that we have as far as support in FSOMA, the better that we're likely to get the job done and even expand even further than that. So we are definitely a membership organization. We have a lot of the work that is done with FSOMA is done through volunteer. We have a great board, and I'll get into that maybe in a second here, looking at the different board and committee members. But I wanted to have, as this year, a real drive to have a membership. We just recently at a recent membership committee meeting came up with a 1+1 goal. And if every FSOMA member were to just have one individual in their community, talk to them, visit them, communicate with them. We've got a great website now that, and Ellen can help with that too, where you can go on the website, FSOMA website, and you can find the FSOMA members in your specific area, in your county. So what does that mean? It means that anyone that's not on there, it would probably not be a member, and that would be your target to communicate to these individuals how important it is to get involved in their state associations. I really look at other allied healthcare professionals and their ability to really drive membership, the chiropractic profession, the physical therapy profession, even in my old roots, the pharmacy profession really has high numbers of membership. And if you come to the legislature, especially what I've learned over the years, and you come as multiple voices, they really don't want to hear that. You want to have a consolidated one message coming to the legislature and having everyone underneath the membership of FSOMA really drives that one message to many different venues. So the greater our membership, obviously it says here, the greater our mandate, and we can get so much more work done. The profession still finding its way in the healthcare delivery model. Definitely, you will see that probably message of community coming up in our 2025 conference committee, in which we're going to drive home that we really want a model for SOMA of gathering everyone together and coming together as far as what matters to all of us. We are moving, just a kind of a personal perspective, but we are moving from an educational system that pretty much all of us have been through in the past, getting our acupuncture license, where we're pretty much geared or not even trained, but knowledge that when we get licensed, we're coming out into an area that we're going to probably be our own business, a small practice. And that's kind of how it's presented to us. I think the landscape is definitely changing. We're going to have a lot of discussions about this at the conference, about how we need to be more aware that we're going to need to fit into an existing Western biomedical model. And it's already, our scope of practice has already been challenged, obviously in dry needling, and coming together and finding where we fit in that landscape is going to be critical as far as our success in the future. So taking care of legislative matters, making sure that we have our scope and practice, and then making sure that we are at the forefront of the experts and the leaders in acupuncture and oriental medicine is going to be, or acupuncture and East Asian medicine is going to be helpful. Next slide, David, if you. So to make that work, we've got great committees. We have so many great volunteers that are on the board of directors that have taken over also a standing committee, advocacy, legislative, insurance. We have membership committee. There's a journal committee. If you have talents, and we know you do, and they're so wide and varied, and I would appreciate any kind of help that you can provide for FSOMA. We have many volunteers that come into a committee and volunteer in a committee to get the work done that's needed. It's sometimes difficult when we don't have numbers to do things, but we definitely have a lot of committed people, and we want you to be one of those if you would consider volunteering as well. And a few hours each month. It doesn't take a lot of time, it just takes numbers. The more numbers we have in committee, less work on each one of us for sure, and moving forward makes it so much easier. Next slide. So moving into the conference, FSOMA conference that's coming up, it's going to be in Fort Lauderdale at the Westin. We had this 2 years ago. It is a great opportunity to network. Like I said, our whole focus and mission will be to focus on community and where and how our profession is going to move forward into the coming years. So if you can, it looks like we will be potentially having this also as a hybrid presentation. So if there's circumstances which would prevent you from physically being there, we would love to have you at least attend in a online way. But the whole goal is to get you there. I think there's so much. There were some clinical studies done about, well, not clinical studies, but studies recently about how students attending universities, how a lot of these classes are being presented online, and the difference between not just the information that's presented, but the social interaction was so much better with the individuals on the college campus, on the brick and mortars, that I feel the same way with FSOMA, that it's a great opportunity to not only network with each other, learn new procedures, learn new business tactics, but also the vendors that are really the backbone of FSOMA. They're all present. You can ask them questions. I've had many great conversations in the past with a lot of these industry leaders. They are at the forefront, and you can believe it, like we have recent questioning about tariffs and this whole nine yards. I'm not going to go into that tonight, but they are definitely affected, and they are definitely working for us as a profession as well. So supporting them would be great with your live presence at the conference. We would really love to see that. So how you register online, I think the website, it's on the front page on the FSOMA website, if I'm not mistaken. And just click the link. Super easy to get registered up and get in early. Things are filling up, hotel rooms filling up. You definitely want to be on the agenda as far as being able to stay in the hotel there. Next slide. So I attended the American Society of Acupuncture for the first time this year and met some fantastic people at the national level in Washington, D.C. There has been a committee with the ASA. I do want to mention this too before I get in too deep to that. If you are a FSOMA member, one of the advantages, key advantage to being in the know is you automatically become an ASA member. And that allows, that membership allows communication about what's going on at a national level, which sometimes is very hard to find. In general searching, but the ASA is there to support each state association. FSOMA is well respected at the ASA conferences. It's because of how we get stuff done. It's because of the commitment and the volunteers. And one of the things that they had brought to the table that they wanted to do, I think this has been a process for a couple of years, is the ASA formed a committee on dry needling to provide a response from our profession to other healthcare practitioners that wanted to take over what we would consider inseparable dry needling from acupuncture. The dry needling was to was to come out as a certificate program at the beginning of the year. At the beginning of the year, ASA certainly sent out a note to all the state associations looking for comment. FSOMA responded to that, as well as another association. I'm not sure if there were even more on that list feed, but had responded. FSOMA responded to that in the fact that we really feel that dry needling is a part of acupuncture and is inseparable from that. We have many names for trigger point injection, Asha point acupuncture. So we spoke against that. It was, of course, with a courtesy that ASA is so important as far as having, again, one voice and moving the profession forward. ASA has actually revised some of the program to acknowledge that nestled within acupuncture is dry needling. And the course is now a CEU course through ASA. It's a certificate program. They do not credential. There's not going to be any kind of a credentialing committee putting that on like some of our other orthopedic programs or infertility programs. It's a certificate program that you can take with the CEU class. I haven't seen it personally, but if you want additional information, of course, ASA has that on their website, and you can take that course on your own if you would so choose. Go ahead, David, the next slide. Is that it? Okay. So we have a new website. It's amazing. It's very well put together. I want to thank Ellen. She's been extremely instrumental. Ellen Teeter, our executive director, at spearheading that, and she has spent countless hours above and beyond her current obligations in FSOMA's administrative capacity to get this website up and going. You are asked, if you haven't been on the site yet, you will be asked for a new login and a new password. If you try and use your old username or your old password, that will kick it out, and you will have to create a new one. There's an update that I had mentioned prior about finding an acupuncturist, which I think is an amazing way that not only acupuncturists can find who are members of FSOMA within their community, but patients can seek an acupuncturist and pull up an acupuncturist in their local community with a zip code search. And that's where you need to be. That's a perk that we wanted to have for membership, is to grow your practice, as in so many other programs that we have, the business program on the website, and we have an active chat, many active chat programs available also that we can get questions answered to you when they're asked, and pretty quickly. It's an automatic feed to many of us on an email. So finding an acupuncturist, I think, was a great addition to the website. You have further questions on how to navigate?
Can I give a quick tour?
Yeah, sure. Ellen, that would
Okay.
be great.
Hang on. Yeah, if you stop sharing, David, that'd be great. So this is your home screen. And there may be a few things that show up because I'm the webmaster, but basically, when you're not logged in, the login button will be where this members only section is. And that's something to go noodle around, because that's where all the benefits live now. I am planning on a tour of the website, and we'll send out information about when that'll happen, but you'll get a quick tour. The Find a Practitioner is, I think, a very robust way to find people now. So right now it will, if you're logged in, it'll pull up your zip code. So this is my zip code, and it gives you a look at who's in the area, and you can scroll down to see who's over here, and you can put in another zip code if somebody in Miami wants you to refer an acupuncturist. You can put in Miami, and you can find people. You might have to say what part of Miami, because there's, that's a big area down there. But basically, it's a very robust way to find people. And if you click on people's names, it does open up their website. So that's not clear from this, but if you click on the name, it does give you that. So it's a great website. We are developing a public facing Facebook page, and this will be where it lands. acupuncturefla.com will come to a page here, and it's a little slow tonight. We are working on that. And it's basically the kind of page, are you suffering? Has articles by acupuncturists that people can submit. Maybe you haven't heard that. So if you have an article for patients, this is a great place we can post it. But you'll see, it has some talking about the medicine, and then just some nuts and bolts about acupuncture. If you have ideas for this page or want it to look different, let me know. Way over here, is the FSOMA, and all the links to the FSOMA conference are here. You can find your speakers, you can find who's exhibiting, about the food in the area, travel information, the food guide, hotel, all of these are links to other pages. And way down at the bottom is your register for the event. So there's a lot here. There's a lot more here. I did move today the job board to under the 4 practitioners. So that's where the job board lives now. And if you want to post a job, but we've got all sorts of resources about all sorts of things. We have apparently the biggest website in the country for acupuncture organizations. We have CEU requirements I posted because I get calls about that. Upcoming live classes you can find here. CEU speaker application, where if you want to get your feet wet teaching, let us know. We can help develop you and give you a platform to get used to it. But all the live CEU classes are in here. There are some by us. They're mostly right now by friends of FSOMA. If you want to find out when our meetings are, this is under About Us, FSOMA meetings. You can find out about committees, about the legislative campaign, conference archives, old town halls. That's where this one will live. Testimonials about FSOMA. A community, I'd love people to start signing up for some forums. We've got member to member where you can talk to each other, talk about cases. We have insurance billing. We have, the marketplace, you can sell things on that forum. And if you have business ideas. So we have some forums here to join and be parts of. So there's so much here. We'll do a better job later. I don't want to spend all the time on it, but check out your member benefits. A lot of people don't know you can save on Office Depot. You do have to fill out a form, but let's see, I must have clicked the wrong thing. Nope, that's member news. So, and by the way, if you haven't signed up for the conference yet, there's a 10% off discount code since you missed the early bird in the summer conference news. But down here's your member benefits, and there's links to everything we're doing for advocacy, for the forums, for the conference, business support, social media images. This is something we're putting out in the email every week. For a month, we have a campaign going to promote acupuncture for the health problem for the month. I don't have the newest ones on here, but these are some in the past that we shared. I'm sorry, it'd take me a minute to find this week's news, but check it out. We've got a great study by the Harvard on prostatitis and acupuncture. So every month in the newsletter, you'll see the advocacy committee has come out with an image, and you can share it. And it's like a political campaign. The more people share that image and put that word out there, the more people are going to be thinking about acupuncture for that problem. So, okay, that was a very nutshell. So
Thank you, Ellen. Thanks for going through that with us. It is an amazing website. Just get on and get your new login and password and cruise through it. So much information. I did want to acknowledge in the chat, Annie had put in the chat about being a graduate of Adam, and I know Dickie is on the call, and I'm not sure, Dickie, if you want to address the students. I am really sorry, because that is a major focus for us in the membership drive, is to bring students. They are our lifeblood. They're the next generation of acupuncturists, and we definitely need to support them. Do you want to make a mention of anything, Dickie, about the work in membership on recruiting students?
I'll be at Adam next Monday to meet with the new class. I've met with each new class since they've, for the last 3 years, and introducing them to FSOMA and what we do and why we do it. as well as all the other alphabet soup of organizations that they need to know. I'm given about 30 minutes to do an introductory course with each new class. I'll also be helping them with some other projects at the school. So I'll be there Monday morning, and I meet with them about once a semester. And everything's going very well with the school at this point. Each school has a representative from FSOMA who is responsible for keeping us in touch with their school. So we are getting into most of the schools with the new classes to introduce them. All students in Florida are now members of FSOMA, in that all schools are now members of FSOMA. And getting that word out has been part of our issue, is getting everyone to sign up and give us their personal information that we don't already have as far as how to contact them. Everyone is both linked into FSOMA events through our newsletter as well as ASA events. So we're trying to incorporate everything we can with students as broadly as possible. It's working quite well. We've gone from a handful of students to every student as members of FSOMA this year.
I want to acknowledge also you're linking the students to the ASA. That was quite a project, and that's very much appreciated too. So these students are linked at a national level, not only on a state level as well.
Amy Sturman has her hand up.
Yes. Go ahead, Amy.
Oh, can't hear you, Annie. Sorry.
You might be muted there.
Try pushing your space bar down.
No, you're not showing muted. It might be change your audio link. The little up button next to audio, change to a different microphone.
If we can't hear you, Annie,
Sorry,
everyone,
Annie. You maybe put it in the chat, Annie. We'll try to help.
yeah. You can read her comments in the chat there. Also, we had representation not only with Adam, but Dragon Rises, and we've been very active with the schools this year. And I want to acknowledge too that this right now, I don't know if we have any students obviously watching, but we so much appreciated the volunteer basis that we have at the committee. At the convention every single year. Our conference is really driven by our volunteers. We would never be able to get half of what we have done at our conference if it weren't for the volunteers, just simply doing so many different varied tasks. And this year is no different. I think we had 17 or even more than that, 20 different volunteers, student volunteers.
Yeah, we're going to have 20.
Yeah, it's amazing. And they really are another backbone of why we're able to do what we're able to do. Anyone right now, any final questions? We'll be happy to take those in the chat or raise your hand in the chat, and we'll give you the floor if you'd like to have any question answered. I'll wait just a minute there, see if anything comes up. I don't see anything coming up. Well, I'd like to thank everyone for attending tonight. These town hall meetings are to be informative, and it certainly was tonight. I was not disappointed at all. Annie had said, I'd like to encourage successful acupuncturists to speak to students at schools, get them excited, and that's exactly what we're trying to do. Thank you very much, Annie, for that comment. So you will have many other events coming up. And a great CEU program at the conference. We're all looking forward to August, where we can all meet together and not meet on Zoom. Although it's a great media, it doesn't provide a lot of great contact with the energy. But we'll certainly look forward to seeing you in August in Fort Lauderdale. I want to wish everyone a good evening, and thank you for attending the town hall meeting. Good night, everyone.